I'm Henry Ponce from Mérida, Yucatán, and I am an architect. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think about my 30 years as an architect is I feel grateful. If I have to pick up a word, will be gratitude. As a child, I never had clear that I wanted to be an architect. I was very creative. I grew in a neighborhood that was under construction everywhere. So I used to go and talk with workers, and I learned to do my own mixed with concrete. And now I put it together, and I can remember that when I was a teenager, I used to enjoy to see them plans and to read those plans. So this is what I think. I had it before without being conscious. It's hard to say who will be my biggest inspiration. If I think about an architect, I will say that Luis Barragan is one of the biggest inspirations I have. But I may say that I have people that I admire, like my father, who was a very big fighter to succeed in what he does. He does believe and works really hard on what he has as a passion. He created a very successful company. So I bet that's part of the inspiration I had. As an example of my dad, I always wanted to run my company and to make it successful and to provide good service to people. I was very lucky. I studied in Wadi, so I was lucky to be in a public university that was very inexpensive, but also to have like really good architects that were teaching there. It made us very conscious about the importance of respecting the historical architecture. So I think all that grew on me during the time in university. Since 1997, I opened my firm, and the rest is just history. During the process after coming out from school, I was quite frustrated because at the time I was doing things my clients wanted, but it's not exactly what I wanted. That's when I say you have to create your opportunities. So I grew up seeing these houses that were done here by Fernando Garcia Ponce, Fernando Lopez, or Felix Mediterrán. Those are the architects I think that I feel more connected with their own aesthetics, the philosophy that they use at the time, that is basically came from the mid-century architecture that was established since Bauhaus in the end of 1920s. The philosophy of mid-century architecture is something I'm feeling related. First of all, because it's very easy to adapt to our climate in Mérida. I love the connection with outdoors. I love the clean lines, all these lights that comes from all these open spaces in our architecture. So I guess that the philosophy from functionality also, it attracts my attention, and is what we try to do in every project we do now. The history of our historical district is interesting because at the beginning that was the only place to live, right? So that was all the houses were happening in Centro. And back to the, I would say 50s especially, the people start to emigrate to the new concepts of the city, like Colonia García Jiménez, Itzimna, Colonia México, after that, Colonia Alemán. So the people who were in Centro moved out to the new concepts of the city. And then this Centro became to be almost abandoned, I may say, and it became to be very commercial. Around 25 years, I started to notice like foreigners start to buy those properties, and little by little they adapted to the neighborhood for them to live. Those days, even local people were not even considering to invest in Centro, and these days now, people is back to Centro to use it, to live it, and also to invest in that. Just our firm has more than 200 houses that we restore, and I see it as the way that we contribute to revitalize the historical district, which also opened a different way for me to see how we can approach architecture without doing new buildings in the new areas in the city. Be involved with the patrimonial of the city, which is very important, and I do believe that is something that we have to keep, to be dedicated on contributing on saving part of the history and soul of our city. My biggest concern is that we don't have a real zoning so that it can regulate or control the way that the city is growing. Probably the most surprising lesson in 30 years as an architect was to get the first biennial, a gold medal, with a small house where I put, even my money. I even asked my mom to put some money to complete the job. Was an opportunity to show that the architecture in the historical district also couldn't be handled in a different way with this mix or this blend of contemporary architecture. The main reason I did it was to express myself. That's when I say, you have to create your opportunities. This was an opportunity that I create myself, and that bring us a gold medal in the national biennial, a silver medal in the local biennial, and a few other awards that we got for that little house. As an architect, I have 3 topics that are very important for me. One is historical district that we have been working for more than 20 years. The second one is preserving mid-century architecture, because we don't really put attention into that. And in other countries, it's considered historical. And we had great examples of that architecture in some of the areas like Colonia Mexico, Buenavista, Garcia Jiménez, Colonia Alemán, Itzimna. And the third topic will be revitalizing areas that we already have and has soul. And it's part of the other area of the history of Mérida. Our project Calle is el Centro de Arte y Diseño de Yucatán. What we're doing is a mix of uses where we can have a cultural center with a community with residential. We will put in 59 units to live, and I can see the interaction between the people who live there and having activities that they can enjoy, art shows and everything related with design, even with good gastronomy. So that's our project of Calle. We bought it with the idea of revitalize the area that the city is not putting too much attention into that. So ideally is that this project develop a revitalization of the area, so people has more facilities and more attractions, and little by little people will put attention to restore houses that some of them are abandoned in those areas. We have examples in other countries that instead of expanding the city and keep growing without control, what will happen? Imagine how fantastic it will be just to put attention and to go back to those areas that we already have, and we make them better. What I do recommend to young architects and new generations, have to be very careful to really understand and to hear your heart, to see where I want to be, what I want to do, and to have the courage to do it. Follow your instinct or your heart. It can be risky, so it brings sometimes fear. And I think if you pass through that because you're really following what you want to do, success has to be a lot with doing what you love to do.